today's speakers. And last but not least, I'd like to welcome Ms. Khaeriah Zaehera bint Abd Kayyum. She is the counselor and head of the chancellery at the Embassy of Malaysia here in Washington, D.C., and she also plays a pivotal role in fostering Malaysia-U.S. diplomatic and cultural ties.
A very good afternoon to Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and distinguished guests. At the outset, I would like to express our appreciation as well to the organizer today for providing Malaysia a platform to speak and share a little bit on our lands on global leadership and peace and security initiative. I am also very heartened to see a very balanced and nuanced panelist today of male and female representative, because sometimes I tend to be the only female panelist, or manalist sometimes we call it. And I also, as I heard recurring themes throughout all the speeches of our representative and distinguished guests today, from the attack on the multilateral system and also on positions of neutrality, especially currently now in the global shifts of global order. And a little bit of Malaysia's evolving role in global partnerships, especially as the world navigates an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. And in this era of shifting alliances, economic uncertainty, and mounting global challenges from climate change to geopolitical rivalries, Malaysia remains committed to multilateralism, regional stability, and constructive international engagement. As a foreign policy officer, I feel genuinely a little bit disconcerting hearing in multilateral talks more and more jargons are being used or languages that is pivoting towards war era, especially when people use the word alliances rather than partnerships. Alliances always turn into security partnerships, and it's not something that we endeavor in the diplomatic realm. And I think today's topic about global leaderships and making partnerships is actually very timely. From Malaysia's lens, Malaysia believes that global partnerships must be grounded in mutual respect, non-alignment, and peaceful cooperation. I think that Malaysia has something very unique to offer to this perspective as the chair of ASEAN this year. Or to those who are not familiar, ASEAN is the Southeast Association of Southeast Asian Association, which is a regional framework, and Malaysia is one of the founding countries of ASEAN. Malaysia continues to see ASEAN as a central platform to promote peace, economic resilience, and strategic balance in the Indo-Pacific, particularly amidst rising tension between major powers. And much have been predicted on or said on the demise of ASEAN, or even the effectiveness of such regional framework. But Malaysia continues to place emphasis on ASEAN, as we see ASEAN is also a peace interlocutor between the regional and also other partners in ASEAN, including major powers. Secondly, we actively continue to support rule-based international order guided by international law and the principles of the United Nations Charter. Especially in a time when multilateralism is under strain, Malaysia would like to reaffirm the need for inclusive global governance, where small and middle powers have meaningful voice in shaping global outcomes. And I think this is much to be said on Malaysia's role in advocating the reform of the UN, particularly in the role of the United Nations Security Council, where we feel that much reform needs to be done, especially in how P5 voted in major crises in global conflict around the world. We also would like to speak a little bit on our South-South cooperation, given that we've seen here a lot of South-South countries and partners, especially from the African nations. And I think Malaysia and Africa went back long ahead, and I think our African brothers and sisters could speak a lot on the legacy of South-South cooperation. While people might say South-South dialogue is a legacy of the Cold War or post-Cold War, we think that South-South cooperation continues to give an alternative voice, especially challenging the norms of Western dialogue against the Eastern dialogue, and providing a neutrality of platform whereby we can continue to come and advocate mutual interest issues, especially in social development, international development, other global issues, especially post-pandemic. Finally, Malaysia's work as in peaceful coexistence and diplomacy and Finally, on peaceful coexistence and diplomacy, especially I've heard a few speeches on the importance of science and education, diplomacy in science and education, where we felt that emerging issues, especially existential threats faced in the 21st century, and also on transnational threats, would be continually very important to be talking in these realms, as global development will tend to be not included, their voices, especially during those important and critical eras. In conclusion, the geopolitical world is undergoing rapid and unpredictable change, but amidst uncertainty, Malaysia remains a steadfast partner, committed to dialogue over division, cooperation over confrontation, and shared progress over zero-sum competition. Let us work together for a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world. Thank you.